Good morning, beloveds.
Good morning.
And thank you, those of you who are joining us from Facebook. It has been quite a week. And I'm thinking, this week's coming up, it's going to be, it's going to be calming down. Things are going to get smoother. That's just something I tell myself so I can get up. But that's not true. Because what I intend for my life is to have joy. And like Joe said in his memorial plaque that we had there, to make the world every day a better place because I'm here. So what can I do to do that? And so I surround myself with people because that's where it's at. It doesn't matter what else happens. It's all about the people in our lives. And so I am surrounded and call people into me. In fact, my daughter is coming this Thursday. She's coming up from California. Not coming to see me. Coming to see the boys. They're boys fans, and so they're coming, but I get to see them as well. And so they're going to spend a minute, with me while they're in between the boys. But I was thinking about that and just thinking about the people in my life. And I was sitting and talking with my son a while back, Jonathan. And I've talked with you before about my first husband, his father, my daughter's father. And we came together. He was actually quite a handsome man. He was a football player. He was very gregarious. Everyone loved him. And he actually loved me a great deal. He died, and I know that I was still the love of his life. I know that there's no question in my mind, no question about who he was and what he wanted to be. But he ended up descending into something he could not pull himself out of. And when he did that, he became abusive, physically and mentally and verbally. And so we ended up parting. And it took a while for that to happen. So there are a lot of memories that I have of when it was good and when it wasn't. But I was sitting talking with my son, and he was sharing with me, his name is Mike, his father, my son's name is John. He said that his father was his hero. And I thought, really? Of course he is. Of course he was, because he passed away. And that brought to mind then how we all see things from a different perspective. When I look at my past with that man, there were a lot of negatives in it for me. When my son looks at his past, at the same man, there were a lot of positives for him. And so it brought to mind, and what I want to talk with you and share with you about is, there are movies, and I love these movies, where they show a scene from a different person's point of view. I love that. It's the exact same scene, but they show it from several different characters' points of view. And it's a completely different story. And when you look at that, you have to think about, I had to forgive my past with my husband, with my first husband. Forgive that, because it wasn't the same for him as it was for me. It certainly wasn't the same for my son or my daughter as it was for me. And to hold those thoughts that I had about him isn't going to serve my ongoing relationships with my children, or me for that matter. And so the talk today is about returning to Egypt. And this is about going back to the things that are of your past. And I thank you, Jason, that was a great song this morning. Because I think he left, he can't hear me, but that's okay, you can tell him that I said this. It's all right. It was a great song because yesterday's gone. Yesterday's absolutely gone. Not a thing you can do about it, except to forgive it. And so we go back to Egypt is about going back to those things and looking at what it is that you thought about this situation and letting it go. Just let it go. Life is happening right now. It isn't happening in the future. It isn't happening in the past. It's happening right now. And if we walk around with these movies that are playing in our heads all the time, because there's always movies playing, right? Because we are the heroes in our own story. We're the heroes. Of course we are. We're the ones making up the story. You don't have the thing? You don't have the headphone not working for you?
I don't know how it works.
Can someone help him with the headphone so he's not able to hear? Yeah, it's okay. He'll help you. And so we're walking around with these stories in our head about what's going on or what possibly could be. We're missing what actually is. What actually is happening. Being in this moment, right now, like I'm here with you, you're here with me, and I see you, I hear you. I'm fully in this moment. We want to be fully in this moment because this is life. This is where it is. And so trying to stay here is part of what we do. The past and the future includes other people's stories. And the thing is, someone told me this the other day and I loved it. They talked about we're looking at the past because we're always trying to change what happened back then. We're always trying to change it. And there's no possibility of doing that. Number one, because the past you remember isn't the total past. It's only your version of it. There's simply no way to go back and change it. It's only your version. And you get to change your version of it. If for no other reason then, or no other change, but that you forgive it and just let it go. I was talking with my sister the other day, and I told you from here, I said, and I meant this, just like a week or two ago, I said to you guys, we never fought. My siblings and I just got along so well. Always shocked me. Always shocked me when other siblings talked about how they fought because we never did. Well, I went out with my brother last Sunday to the Jubilee. And when we left, we went over to my sister's house. And we're just sitting around talking. And I told that story. So, I don't understand how other people fought. And my sister's like, are you kidding? Terry and I fought like cats and dogs. What? She said, yeah, I remember walking down the hallway like this. So I wouldn't touch him when he would pass the hallway. And he would purposely shove me, and we just get into a fight. What, are you kidding me? Where was I? I never knew that. So my past and my story about my siblings is very different than their past and their story about what happened. I'm telling you, they're always busting my stories. I need to stop talking to them. Woo! My God. So, what we need to do, what we want to do is live in the now because we are, and embrace what is. Because we are living magnets. We draw into our lives the people, the places, the circumstances that are in line with our dominant thinking. If our dominant thinking is about what happened in the past, what can we draw into us? We have to be thinking about who we are right now. I intend, I choose this life right now. That's how we walk forward. That's how we live this life. Life happens in the present moment. I was with my grandniece, my sister's granddaughter, Nyla. She's 5 now. And I'd actually gone to visit with my sister, but she was there playing with her dolls and whatever. And I went to visit my sister. Like I said, the joy for me and part of my intentions as I set them every morning and talk about them is family, is friends, families, and relationships. It's important to me to do that. And so I set the intention for it. So I was there. I'm talking with her and having lunch. And Nyla, she calls me Aunt Panda. I have no idea. She's like, Aunt Panda, can you come play with me? And the first thought in my head was, well, I actually didn't come to talk with you. I actually came to talk to my sister. But then I thought, this is a part of what I want to do. This is a part of the joy of my life, right? How long do you think it's going to be that she's going to stop asking me to play with her? You don't get very long to do that. So part of what we're doing is not only setting an intention for who we want to be and what we want to do. We are complex. What we want isn't just one thing. I want relationships. Ships. Not a relationship. So in the middle of that, I had to decide what's the value. And I know that my sister would love it if I made her granddaughter happy. And it made me happy too. So I decided to spend some time with her. So you see, we have to make those choices. But again, I'm going to come back to it. I know you guys think, well, she keeps talking about this all the time. But it's so important that you know who you are, that you take some time to say, these are my core values. This is what's important to me. This is what I intend for my life. And of course, we talked about this morning. We can change that as we grow, we move it around. We don't, because we're complex, what's important to me right now, what's at the highest list, number 1, 2, or 3, or 4, moves. It moves up and down, but they don't go away. Your core values don't go away. And so when you know what those are, as you're moving through your life, you get to make those choices and say, what and who do I want to show up as right now? What's the most important thing for me to do right now as I've set my intention to be? Who do I want to be in this moment? That's what we get to do. We get to do that all the time. And so I played with her. What happens if we don't let go of the past? We're just angry all the time. That's just, come on. Can I? An ability to release the past is an inability to forgive it. We will never be able to forgive it if we can't release it. We simply have to let it go. And that's a decision you make. And I'm not saying that it's easy. I am not. There are some things that I was in a science of mind class when I first started, and it was so powerful, this woman, in 1995, and I still remember this story. Don't remember her name or whatever, but I remember the room I was in. It was a circle of people who were talking about the science of mind, and there were certain things. She had cancer. And she knew why she had it. Stage 4, stomach cancer. She knew why she had it. Because she was so angry with her father. She didn't go into details about what had happened. But she was so angry. And of course, we talked about that. Because we draw that in, we hold that anger in, we draw things to us. And so we said, well, what would happen if you just released it, if you just let it go? She said, damn that. I earned this anger. Yes. I earned this anger. So that's her life. That's what she wants. She knew it was killing her. But she was too angry and felt that she deserved to be angry to let it go. I know, it looks like it's hard to understand, but if you put it in perspective of the things that you are upset about, the people that have hurt you, it's not so easy to lay it down. But it's for you. It's not about them. If they were to look at the story about whatever story you're telling yourself, what they did to you, they wouldn't even know what you're talking about. Or if they did, they wouldn't see it the same way. They wouldn't see it the same way because they're the hero in their story. You're the hero in yours. So when they look at whatever happens to you, whatever happened, they won't see it the way you do. You're carrying something around that no one else is. So it's your life. It's our life. We get to lay it down. We simply do. We get to forgive, let go of the past. I remember, and I said, it's, people look at it, they see things, they're the hero of their own story. Everybody has their own perception. When I worked for the California Youth Authority, and I worked at this large institution, it was called the Youth Training School, YTS. And we had kids in there, boys, all boys, from, I think they started at 13, depending on what they did, up to 25. So you go into, when you enter there, you enter through a guard gate. You have to pass the guard gate. And so I passed the guard gate and I went on to the office where I was working, and I was talking to a gentleman who was working with me, one of my peers. His name was Sonny Ford, I'll never forget him. Very tall, energetic guy. And he was telling me something about one of the ladies that works at the guard gate. And I said, oh, are you talking about the lady with the curly red hair? And he said, well, I don't know about curly red hair, but she has thin lips. Okay, we were talking about the same lady. He did not notice the bright red hair all over her head, but he noticed her lips. I never saw her lips, but I noticed her hair. We're looking at the same person every day. Okay? So everybody sees what they see. Everybody sees what they see. So we have to forgive the past. And the way that we do that is by being grateful for what is. We forgive the past by being grateful for what is, for where we are right now. Because that allows us to focus on something differently. We focus on what is, we count the blessings, and we evoke the law of concentration, which is focus, and the law of attraction, by attracting more good into our lives. Focusing what is good draws more good into our lives. And pretty soon, you are able to begin to let go. Those things won't matter as much. You'll begin to be able to let it go. Let it go. That is, and it sounds like it's easy when I'm saying that, but I know that it's not. We are always evolving. We are always learning different ways of being and doing. He hasn't learned yet, but he's keeping on trying. He's going to get it. All right. All right, buddy. So if we don't forgive, we're stuck. We're stuck in the past, playing old, erroneous tapes. The old movies that you edited, they're not the movies. They're the movies you edit. Right? With your own bent. They're just playing around in your head. We have to let them go. We have to live our life right now because that's where it is. That is where it's happening. Tomorrow starts right now because what we do right now affects tomorrow. Your tomorrow won't change if you don't change it today. That's the power of living now. That is the power of living now. So all I'm saying, all I want you to know, is that we get to change our mind at any time. We can just lay it down. Just lay it down. Let it go. Lay it down. Live the life that you want. Decide that you want to do it. And live your great life right now. Let the past go. As Jason said, yesterday is gone. But we have a bright tomorrow because of what we can do